Here we are with Javier Camarena from Zurich, David Lomeli from Santa Fe, and I am in Dallas. So the last time I worked with Javier was at the Metropolitan for the Pale Fishers, and he had an immense success in that role. Javier is the prominent singer of Mozart and, let's say, bel canto, Donizetti, and higher style. One of those phenomenon that come regularly from Mexico, but with this specific characteristic that you are one of these artists, and there are very few of them. You hear 1 or 2 seconds of your voice and you know, oh, this is Javier Camarena. And then you hear a little more and you see this amazingly elegant phrasing, these colors that are always projected well, but with a roundness. And you see, yes, this is Javier Camarena and there is nobody like him.
Amen.
You are beloved by the audiences. You are beloved not only in Mexico, where you are a megastar of epic proportions that can make other people jealous, but you are also very famous in our industry beside the qualities that everybody is recognizing and that are unique, because you stopped the houses several times with multiple encores. And you're not supposed to do this, but it just happened. You sing so beautifully. It is so arresting that even at the Met or at the Liceo, where there is written or unwritten rule that you can't have an encore, the people were going to kill the management if there was not an encore, and you did an encore. How does it feel?
It's wonderful. It's very exciting, and it gives you the possibility of actually realize, to live and to experience and to testify that music and opera still has this amazing power of moving people's soul and heart, and it's not is to be excited together, to be happy together, because I mean, it is normally has happened always with La File d'Heureusement, à Mes Amis Quel Jour de Fête, which is a very joyful and bright aria. So is to share this moment with the audiences. I think that's the goal of every performer, every singer, to have these emotions and live these emotions of your role, of your character, and project them. So the thing you expect the most is that the public connects with that emotion, and to live that together with you. Right. So every single time this has happened with Mes Amis Quel Jour de Fête, this has been really exciting, and it's a moment of the atmosphere. It's really like magic. And as I said at the beginning, it's to testify that music and opera still has this power of moving people's souls.
Right, and you're totally right. And I think in the pandemic, because of people like David Lomeli, we have all tried to reinvent ourselves online and do amazing things with the screen being the new stage. And this is absolutely the movement of our industry. But we should not be apologetic about the power of opera. We should not dumb it down. We should not dress it as what it is not. What it is raw human emotion, definitely stylized, but pushed in the moment to a community that want to connect around this crazy, incredible value of spiritual quality, but that has also an incredible joy, and the joy of sharing this. And so that's what an encore is about. Let's stop the moment. Let's go back to the moment. But I want to go a little more in your tenor brain in there. What if you say, well, I sang how many ICs in that aria, 10 ICs or whatever it is. Do I have them still in the throat? Does that go through your mind? It was so great. Should I do it again?
Well, not at the moment or those moments. I think as it comes more often as years go by.
Right.
But I mean, when I began to study this area, I sang the high Cs until I had no voice.
Right.
So it was not like 9 or 18. It was like 27, 45. I mean, it was crazy because, it's something like darts. You have to try to be very precise to always hit that place that you need to make the sound bright. So it's very specific in technique, it's like a very, very specific point. So it was always trying to practice to do this specific point every single time. So it was not like 9 or 18, as I said. It was pretty much a lot more. So when it comes to the moment of the performance, doing 18 is like, okay, yes, but I'm ready to do it.
Right. And I think it's thrilling. It has been extraordinary. You are one of those voices that is admired by the colleagues and by the other colleagues. And you have somehow proven yourself just by the incredible power of your talent and or your vocal abilities. I see that lately you have turned also to a strong presence online. You are communicating. You are a public figure, let's say, outside of the world of opera, and especially probably in Mexico. Was it a conscious choice that, okay, I have to get on into what the business and the industry is telling us, and I have also to work on this digital appearance and this more public appearance, or it just came to you? What was your past there?
Actually, that was something I was already doing before before COVID. I was certainly very active on the websites and social network. Always doing these live broadcasts by Instagram or Facebook, and always trying to establish some sort of communication with my followers. But that was something I have been doing for several years now. Funny is that when pandemic arrived, I actually was a little bit less active on social networks. This is because it was a time for me to really do what I'm not able to do in a regular basis in the career. That is to spend time with my family and actually be here at home. So I had this in my hands, so I tried to make a total profit of it, and I spent like really a lot of time with my family, with my kids, and making arrangements at the house. It was really for me a luxury time with to spend with my family. So. Yeah.
Good for you.
During pandemics, I was not so active, but normally I have been for several years, and it's something. It's nice. It gives you ground and the possibility of to talk a little bit with the people that actually are going to the theaters and pay tickets for seeing you perform. So I always find this very it's fun also.
Rewarding, yes. David, Yeah, go on, David.
Yeah, I just want to say two things, just coming back a tiny bit to the anchor thing, and what you said before we move to another topic about what colleagues feel when Javier Camarena is singing, like I remember, seeing him, the Cenerentola piece at the Met, or the Don Pasquale piece, or the ex-Wibies. I have sang next to him, right, too, and have seen what he does, and I have to say, Javier, that sometimes, especially when you get into those, like right before the Ritrovare lo Giuro, it really feels that when you start there for colleagues, and I have had this conversation with several tenors. It feels like when those IMAX movies of Michael Jordan, like right before, like like you get into this kind of zone, right? Because you put another gear when you go for the, you always are singing the full thing, everything. But when it comes to those, like a Mes Amis starts or Se Ritrovar lo Giuro starts, there's a sense that it's like, okay, this is my moment, and I don't know. There's something that if we feel that you close the noise, and we just see like Michael Jordan scoring the last point, like it's really fascinating. I don't know if you feel that quiet of the noise when it's like, okay, this is when you're like thinking about technique, what is happening? You're like, you hit one and it's like, okay, 8-4 going, or you hit one of those and because I see when you finish this smile that is to die for. Like what is happening there in your mind while you're like putting the curves, right? Like said, it feels like maybe like a Formula One like turnaround
race. Yeah,
it's actually funny. I never thought about these things, but what I can really say is the tenor stops and the character lives. That's awesome. You know us both as musicians, how much time do we invest in prepare something, and to study and to learn it and to be very precise and to do it as perfect as possible. So when it comes to the time of doing it on stage and do it for the audiences, it's a matter of joy, of enjoying that. Okay. And really for those moments in the arias as a Mes Amis or Si Ritrovarla, it's really like I just try to live as truly as possible what my character is experiencing. Right, so right. Yeah, in a certain way it stops at the tenor, but the character lives, and that's the one that projects everything. So
but we go again.
I think I have a better play. Yeah,
right. We go again to that notion of incredible joy and excitement. And I think that's what you connect to as performers, what I connect to as performers. And the audience knows that and feels that. And so you go, and I think the metaphors that David is using is very true. It's that you get into a zone where all of a sudden you are breaking through to something, and the people feel the breakthrough. And that's where life is. I am so happy to talk to David. And what is interesting, David and I are brothers. We're really very close friends. And we're better than brothers, and we're better than friends. So that's perfect with both of the duties and the pleasure of those two categories. I've known David for many years. I have known David as a singer, an incredible tenor, who has had a stellar, but let's say short career, but a stellar career. He has sung, with Berlin Philharmonic. He has sung with, aside other wonderful colleagues. And David has moved to the dark side of the industry. And now he is an extremely powerful administrator. He was very powerful in Dallas, where he was working with me, and very quickly he was telling me what I had to think and what to do. And I was smart enough to listen to him. But he's now, still working for us as a consultant on artistic matters. He's still, I believe, working with the Munich Opera as a consultant for artistic and casting matters. He's the chief artistic officer at the Santa Fe Opera, so number one when it comes to artistic matters. David, where are you going to stop?
Yeah, well, thank you. You know, I feel a little, to be honest, self-conscious because both of you are besides my brothers, are people that I admire tremendously, and I have the pleasure to see you in the wings. You know, like getting out and nailed it and clap you and embrace you right after. So I have a really, really great respect. So I feel a little bit like self-conscious to talk about myself with both of you.
Well,
And
that's why we have you here, because we actually, I'm so happy I can ask you public questions you will have to answer that they never dared to say. And I forgot in my presentation that we work together, David and I. So I worked with Javier at the Met, and David and I worked together at the San Francisco Opera, where David was singing a beautiful Werther. That's, I mean, that voice and that character was extraordinary, and you were very young then. But so where are you going to stop? What's your plan? What's the story here?
To be honest, I really believe that in a way, you know, I don't know, like God wanted me here. You know, I needed to go through what I went through. I also needed to go through the incredible heartache of getting sick and not knowing what happens, and kind of the ostracizing of yourself a little bit to mourn that part. And then also the transformation that I had to be like eating all the ego of the normal tenordom that we have to go and sing, and a little bit of that selfishness that we need to do to protect the voice and all those things that we do, into kind of a life of servitude now, because I went from a life that it was all about me and how I wrote and how I woke up and what did I eat and how did I study, into now serving, you know, because it was about like getting other people into the best shape and conditions for them to sing with us, anticipating certain things that would happen to you, like so you could be more in the zone on the moment of the performance, and it has been incredibly rewarding. So the more the journey I have, you know, and everything kind of sets up in their place, you know, like I didn't understand why for some reason I went into the computer science engineering side, the marketing side, instead of training music. I was super obedient to my parents in that sense. I didn't rebel and be like, no, I'm going to be a musician like other guys. And now, because I had that education, is super helpful in what I do, because I don't just come from the musician side. I come from the other side too. And for me, I would love to see, and this is where I get a little cuckoo, and I would love to see opera to take care of themselves. You know, I would love to get us in a professional behavior. Like if we were the NBA, like there's a commission that it just buys like if the 30 operas of the world would give $1 million for ads, opera would be very famous, would be very into the popular demand of every single one, because we would have promotion, we would have shows, we have to create fandom experiences. You know, that's why I love that Javier does, because he emulates not only the beauty of the singing, you know, but he also is the Babe Ruth of this. He has the records. There's also a certain aspect is like, oh my God, is he gonna like connect a home run today, you know, and how many times in a row he can do it. And there's that part also of the opera part that we need to develop. So for me, I would love to arrive to a place where we can unify the business of opera, so we can protect better our own talent, you know, because right now it's a world of freelancing. COVID happened and we didn't have structures to protect us at all. So now we need to have it. That for me, that's where I want to stop. When it's safe to not play and everybody still says something, you know. So I want to marketing better. I want to like be in social media a lot. And so I don't know, like my dream maybe is I don't know if it's to be in the general director of a really big house over the world, or to be the commissioner of opera. I don't know. That's sometimes I have that dream.
Right. So when I told you were moving to the dark side, you actually extending the power of the dark side. But I think what you are talking about is extremely important. And in a global world, I mean, opera has always, in a way, been very global before other things. You know, the great singers, they would do the big tour, and they would actually start, you know, at the Scala, then they would go to Paris, then they would go to London, they would do the Met, they would go to Chicago, San Francisco, and then to the Teatro Colón, or maybe even in Mexico, and then do the tour again. But it has never been totally organized, like you say, like a federation of opera. And I think this is a brilliant idea. But beyond the question of globalization, both of you you're coming from Mexico, in a world where opera is important, that has produced so many voices that are extraordinary, and you are both at the top of the list, but we can add Rolando, Villazón, Ramon Vargas, Placido too. I mean, half Spanish, as Mexican. I guess that's the way he presents it. What were for both of you, let's say, the plus and minuses of being Mexican, and how has that influenced or impacted your career? Maybe I start with David. What was your feeling with that?
Well, I think that first of all, there's very few centers of training in Mexico, for sure. You know, to be honest, I was in Monterrey, Mexico. I was in a private institution that had a little bit of opera happening, but my degree was in computer science. And when I graduated, I remember very well, I did the Morelli, the national competition. And that year I was very surprised because there were like 250 applicants. And I was like, I know like 2 opera singers in Monterrey, and there's like 250. And when I arrived, like, I remember, like, the first round, I was like, yeah, no, I belong. And then in the semifinals was this dude, you know, singing Roberto de Veró and like Clean House. And it was it was the very first time, to be honest, that somebody I felt was out singing me. It was the very first time. So the difficulty is that, you know, sometimes the super talents that could push you into like, oh my God, you have to study way more, are far away from your little like isolated point of content to opera. It's centralized, most of it. You know, I don't know, Javier, what you think. In Mexico, is mostly in Mexico City, where most of the opera happens, or in Sinaloa a little bit now in Monterrey, you know, but mostly it's Mexico City. And there's not a lot of an economy of the singing there, so you cannot really survive. I don't know what you think, Javier.
But and Javier,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's true. It's true. It's very centralized, and the operatic activity is not quite formal or institutionalized. You know,
right?
There's not a real opera company. I mean, it is the Opera at Bellas Artes. It is, but it's not like it doesn't work like in other theaters around the world with a specific season with several titles and, you know, repertoire, and so it's very limited. Yes. Yeah, but it's true. But it's David was saying that economy is not helping a lot, because every year culture and also education suffers with cuts in the how you say this in English, David? Presupuesto?
Budget.
In the budget, the governmental budget.
Yeah. Javier, do you and David answered a little this, but if people say Javier Camarena, incredible tenor, incredible Mexican tenor, do you embrace that categorization? Is the Mexican part a big part of what you feel as an artist, or is it just, no, I want to be first the tenor? How do you deal with that?
No, for a Mexican, it's always first Mexican. Of course, David can say that.
You know, I'm working this carefully. I'm trying to be respectful.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know. I understand that. No, but you know, I think we are fortunate because this in the tenor world, be a Mexican tenor is kind of a luxury.
Right.
I must say, because there's already a big tradition, as you mentioned already. Rolando, Ramon. There was also Fernando de la Mora. It was also
Arturo Chacun Cruz.
Francisco Araiza.
Arturo
Araiza,
Francisco
yes.
Araiza, yeah.
Right.
So there's a line of Mexican tenors very successful around the world in the opera history that I really remember when everybody was like, oh, you're a tenor, yeah, you're fantastic, yeah, where are you from? I'm from Mexico. It was, oh, another Mexican. That was a very constant.
Yeah.
And
that was
many
positive.
times.
Yeah.
And it has been really positive. I had never any issue regarding racism or something in a negative way. It has been always a very
supportive
very,
industry.
Nice supportive industry for
right. So David, do you? I mean, I guess you experienced that as a singer yourself. As a citizen, maybe this is more complicated. As an administrator, I could see that it is not that simple. So, how did you swim against a certain current, and how do you feel about this now? And how are you? Let's say, presenting yourself, I mean, there is all this question, which is very tricky. I mean, of minorities and so on. Where do you fit in all of this? Where is your head, and how do you present things to people?
Well, there's definitely different markets, I have to say, like I feel in Europe, there's, at least in the places that I have worked with, they were always about the talent, or at least I felt that there was about the talent. There is a little bit of discrimination, and I can talk about a little bit farther in that, but at least it was a little bit more about, like, and I don't know if Javier felt the same, but like, since he and I could sing very well, or when I went to Europe as an administrator, I was coming as the casting director of Irish Soper. Like, there was a certain kind of acceptance that the guy has to have certain level to belong here. Still, there are things, that are difficult. Like when I was in the middle of moving to Munich, it was difficult for me they didn't understand a lot of the things that I needed, for example, to move. They're like, well, but this is the way it is here. And I was like, yeah, but I have several other idiosyncrasies that are needed to be filled. But the reality is that in the United States is where it's very, very particular, because being Mexican automatically, when I was a singer, put me in a category as a foreign artist. I was an alien immediately. So I could only sing like high role, like the lead roles. So it was very, very, very difficult for me when I arrived to train, and AGMA didn't let me sing, because I could only sing lead roles. And then as an administrator, there was no foreign people in management when I started in the United States. There was maybe the English guy or the British guy here and there, but there was mostly a consistent of white American guys, mostly at the top of everything. So now that I've been getting in more and more, advancing in a career, I have had, actually, being Mexican has been my shield, my sword, and now even sometimes the way that I get the door open, because now, especially in the past 2 years, there's a shift in the United States about, we need diversity in leadership, we need minorities at the helm, and suddenly, like, I happen to be a guy that has already like 5 years of career. I've been doing it at a very high level. I had all these things, so suddenly they're like, okay, of the minority pool, who is the guy that is more advanced? And suddenly has been a very good luck for me, because I've been putting the hours. So by the time the world turned around, it helped me. So for me, being Mexican has been great. I'm also $98,000 of visas down since I immigrated to the United States, just to be able to compete. So it's complicated, It's
right.
It's a little complicated.
I think you answered perfectly this question, and I know how much some of this is actually harder, but you have been very smart and very generous in the way you have embraced everything. You are very social. You love to be with friends. You love to to have parties. You love to interact. You're always in touch. You care about people. From that point of view, the life of a tenor is probably a life of solitude, a life of isolation. First question, David, do you miss singing? Second question, do you feel more supported? Do you feel you have more of a family of friends that surround you that you can trust as an administrator? Or is it even more difficult in that terms of being alone and having to fight?
Well, first, I always miss singing. I miss, to be honest, now definitely the music making part. Like, you know, just it's a blessing to make music, and I think that every really good tenor loves a tiny bit the sound of their own voices. About you know, and so you know, you like to hear yourself like caressing that F sharp in piano, and you're like, yes, I can do that now, and or diminuendo in a high C and things like that, and you're like, I can accomplish that, and it feels very good. It's endorphins. I miss a little bit the lifestyle, you know. I miss the traveling a lot and having a little bit more time for me. But to be honest, the administrative side has been incredibly rewarding because I feel that I can change lives more deeply, and I get the satisfaction of seeing that, because I did like maybe this email suddenly, like for example, it just happened a few months ago. Alejandro Perez, that is a big supporter of singers in Mexico. He has a program now in Monterrey, and he was the one that paid me my very first tickets to go on and make auditions and training, right? And he's now supporting another Mexican tenor, very, very good, Armando Elizondo, a younger kid. And he auditioned for the Bayerische Staatsoper Young Artist Studio, and he is debuting with the company in September. He's singing Malcolm with Anna Netrebko this June, and it just happened because you know, like
you could.
The circle, I was there. The Circle Live, like Javier Camarena has not sang in Dallas before, and now you know it's gonna happen soon. And you know, like exactly,
right.
like
right.
and so these type of things that I, you know, like that I feel that it changes. Like we have changed a lot the way that I see now a lot of Mexicans is like, I want to do what you do. I'm sure that a lot of people say to Javier Camarena, be Javier Camarena. There's a lot, but there's rarely now a lot of people is like, I want to be what you do. I want to do consulting. I want to do casting. I want to be a general director. And in Mexico, we didn't have those dreams before. So it has been really rewarding, that part for me.
Right. There's another Mexican tenor who did a lot of administration, and it's Placido. You know, was he showed the way in a certain way with this. Javier, how you said that you were, in a way, the pandemic, if I understood, was, at least from that point of view, a blessing that you could be with your family. How I personally find it very difficult sometimes to be always on the road, and even with, you know, the possibility of connecting with your family and your friends, you are isolated. As a conductor, you are isolated. You can't. There is a level of friendship you can have with your colleagues, but also there is a necessary distance you need to keep. There are sometimes situations that are very difficult, and you need to close up and to protect yourself. How do you leave that aspect of the career? And which is the professional aspect, the personal aspect, being alone, being in your work, and not being with your family because you are around, or with your friends. How did you leave this?
We are fortunate because of the time we are living this career. You know, from Zurich, I can be in New York in 9-10 hours with a flight. The very same day, you know, and it will not take me weeks to arrive to New York from Zurich. So traveling is faster. That's one. Second, we have technology now. I remember what the first time I arrived here in Zurich, video calls were like actually beginning, and it was not easy to be connected. Today is so easy with your mobile phones, and you are just like like fingertip away from communicate
ones.
with your family and your loved ones. So that's something I always looking for. Every single time when I'm away from home, every single day, any time of the day, I try to be in contact with my family and to call them, to call my wife, and to know about my kids, and in a certain way being here, even if I am away. Because also that's a big part of my emotional stability. It is a lot of emotions involved in our career also. As I was saying, you leave the characters, but also you leave the stress of traveling, the stress of rehearsals, and then even so, if you enjoy it, also performances can be a little bit stressful sometimes because it's a lot of responsibility. So it is always peaceful in my heart and my mind to be in constant contact with my family. Even before shows, I always try to reach my wife, if not by call, by message, and to say, I'm about to begin, and just to feel supported, because it is true. There's a lot of time that you have to spend alone, and as you said as well, I don't know if it's right to say, but we are in this necessity of loneliness is also a constant way of meditating and be concentrated in our work. Because it happens, it is true. Even if we can, we be with friends and enjoy some time with colleagues, and so there's always this need, because it's a need of being by yourself, and still be concentrated in the work.
Right. It is so true what you say, and there is the nervosity we experience before a show, that is all of a sudden something that's very positive for the show. And the solitude we have, it's also wanting to connect with people, and that's happening in a show. And what you say about meditation is so true. And I remember thinking, well, I'm so stressed and so on. I need to start to maybe, organize some meditation time. And I started researching in meditation, and I'm already doing this. Actually, what they call meditation is something I am doing. I thought meditation was trying very hard to think about something. Well, no, actually, so of course you need to train yourself to organize that, but it is there. One thing that you have, which is extraordinary, is that you have this unbelievable technique and voice, and of course this is work and so on. Where do you stand in this? I have this capital of voice, and this is where I am today. These are the roles I sing today. I can sing this, but I'm choosing not to sing it. Or maybe I'm waiting 5, 10, 20 years to sing this. And this has been fascinating to see. This is a question I've asked a lot of my colleagues, and they all answer quite differently. And yesterday, just a little anecdote, I was with Joyce Di Donato, Flicka, and Frederica von Stade. And I did with Frederica von Stade years ago, the Grand Duchesse. I had done the Grand Duchesse of Offenbach also with Lucia Valentini Terrani, an incredible mezzo. And I wanted to do it with Renata Scotto, and in the end, I could not convince her to do it. I have done it with Susan Graham, and then I turned to Joyce, and here I am putting my feet, in the middle of the table or my mouth, and I said, Joyce, you should do the Grand Duchesse. And Flicka right away says, oh, you can wait 20 years to do this. Meaning, this is something that happens only when you cannot sing this anymore, and you do this and you do that. Do you have a very conscious plan, or do you constantly think, I can do this, I can sing this, I want to sing this, but I will wait a few years to sing this, Javier?
Yeah, I think that has been a constant since the beginning of my career. For example, Rigoletto, it's something I began to study as a student in school, but I made my debut in this role barely 3-4 years ago. I wanted to be certain that I was going to be able to go through the role. I mean, it's not a huge role as Nemorino, for instance. I know this is a different style or composer, and in terms of length of the role, but it is very demanding, and it's also it has a little bit more power, for me. And I have never been too eager to go for different roles. I try to be very conscious of what I can do. I have been tempted to do many other things. I remember I was invited to do Luisa Miller one time. Somebody proposed Ballo in Maschera another time. And even if maybe vocally I can go through, it's not something I want to rush into, because if I feel now very comfortable and full plenty with in the bel canto style,
right?
And I know that there's still many roles that I would like to explore and to sing. That even so, I think I really do believe that it will help me to get and to reach some other roles in the future. Right now, I am still working on bel canto, less leggero than some years ago. I'm going to the lyric part, and together with this, I want to go into the French repertoire. We did, as you said, we did already Per Fischer's, and this is something I remember. I talked with David sometime not so long time ago, and I want to go through those roles like Faust or De Grieux in Manon. My really top would be Count Hoffmann. Count Hoffmann.
Count Hoffmann, oui.
Yeah. I still need to improve my French. So Werther also would be another dream role. But I'm not rushing myself.
Right. And what I find amazing is that you are embracing those roles you have. You don't show any frustration with it. You don't look down at what you're seeing. And I remember, talking with my very dear friend Nathalie Dessay, and she was always upset that, her vocal range was confining her to certain roles that she didn't want to sing anymore, that she didn't like singing. And she felt she has more to offer. And in a way, she did everything she could with those roles, but she was not happy anymore in those Olympias, let's say. You are happy in those roles, and you make them even more than what they are. And I think this is the way those parts were written, just like it's not only pyrotechnic, there is behind this, as you say, a very sophisticated character, a very true character. And the text might be simple, and the vocal line might look a little simple, although very demanding technically. But the thoughts of Donizetti, for instance, behind this are highly sophisticated, as sophisticated and other as a Puccini, as a Strauss, or whatever. And people look down at this, and singers like you just show how extraordinary that repertoire is. And because you do it in a very clever, smart, but not apologetic way. And I find that absolutely remarkable. I have a naive question that I was a singer when I was a kid, and I always liked to sing. And unfortunately, I downgraded to conductor. But you would be a soprano, for instance. What are the roles you would like to sing? Or this is a question you don't even want to contemplate. I'm sure David has an answer to that one. So Javier, go first.
No, go David. Go David. I have to think.
I have to say, for me, I would love to sing a lot of Puccini heroines. I would love to sing Turandot. You know, like I imagine like those extranjero, pop, pop, you know, or I could, to be honest, no one wants to hear me, but I know by heart Mimi because I heard it
Right.
so much, and Musette I can jump in, you know, on those
Right.
ones. I would love to sing Sor Angelica if I was a soprano. Like that Senza
Right.
Mama is one of the most like heartbreaking things at all. You know, I have to say that like it's hard as a soprano. There's so too many. I have to say, like every time that I hear a soprano complain that they like we have Nessun Dorma, you know, I'm
Right.
like, yeah, but you have like this many.
Javier, and let me ask you the same question, but you can also borrow from basses or let's say Helden tenor roles, you know, like Tristan or what, or Wotan. What is it?
No, actually, I was thinking about sopranos, and I the first one came to my mind was Constanze from Die Entführung nach dem Sarai. I think it has it's about beauty in the things, in the melodies she has, the soprano has to sing.
Right.
So that would be one role I would love to sing.
And there are
Sonambula would be another one.
You like the coloraturas too, yeah?
Yeah. Sonambula is another one.
Right.
And now that I know Il Pirata from Bellini as well, the Imogen role, it's so beautiful. And also, I mean, we go to the Puccinis or Mimi, Turandot, of course. But I think I would actually do prefer a little bit more the beauty in the line more than like really like powerful,
right?
Explosive. But it's yeah. And from baritons, I would love to sing. Also, I go for Mozart. I don't know why. I love Mozart. Il Conte. I would love to sing.
Right.
Ai già vinta la causa.
But you can wait 30 years for that one, you know. I mean, you're not going to be a baritone. Yeah.
I do have a question, you know, I do have a question that I probably like totally I'm doing it now, like even for me selfishly, but when is Javier Camarena with these humongous high notes that he has and the style that you have? Do you ever like flirt with those like kind of like high heroic high like tenor roles like you know, the Meyerbeer, the Huguenot, or Troyan from Berlioz, or
right.
Guillaume Tell, or Otello from Rossini. You know, like as Otello. No, I know you have sang, I think, Rodrigo already, but
Rodrigo.
Yeah, but how you know, like you're starting your baby phase, but like when do you feel are they in your future? Do you think they're for you, or you don't think that they're for you?
Maybe in the future, yeah. Otello is one of the roles I would really love to sing, but the problem, as I mean, I said already 3-4 years barely ago, I did my debut in Rigoletto with Duca, and I loved it. I loved to sing, but 4 years ago that role, and I sang this February this year for Maggio Fiorentino. And it was a completely different sensation. Back then, I wanted to do it because I said I have the high note, so I wanted to do the cavalletta, Posenta Morbichiama, with like really going to the high note at the end. Right now, if last 2 months ago, that was not the most important part for me anymore. I really want to enjoy all the process, and going to the high note was not the goal. It was like really make powerful Posenta Morbichiama. So going back to Otello, it's like I would love to sing it, but my bass notes are not strong enough. And I mean, it goes right to a B flat, I guess, or a G. So it's really too low for me, too low. And the thing with these other roles is that need a really powerful center in the voice, and should be like really nice holded. Yeah, even I was invited to do Idomeneo, and I was like, okay, yeah, that would be nice. But then I consider all the weight in the center part of the voice that it needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say, it really scares me. So I don't like to go in that part yet, until I feel that I really have possibility of hold that part of the voice.
Right. Well, Javier, I mean, I want to rebound on what you said earlier, but Desgrieux, I'm sure you are going to be extraordinary in that. I think it's a very good Hoffmann also. And Hoffmann, the thing with Hoffmann, it can be sung by very different voices. You can have a voice that is a full lyric. You can have a voice that is almost like Helden, character, or you can have, and for me, it works better when you have a beautiful voice that can sing, "Oh Dieu de quelle ivresse," da, 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 da. And I can see that in your voice, like I cannot see it in any other tenors. And the rest, it will be your voice, and it will be fantastic. It's time to conclude, but David, we are doing something quite exceptional with you, Javier, and another Mexican tenor. I think his name is Rolando Villason. Can you tell us more about this, David?
Well, we are as you know, we're launching the streaming platform Dallas Opera TV, that it's available now in your Mac environments, Android environments, Roku environments, Amazon Prime shop. So we are very everywhere. And I felt that I, like John Lennon, I needed a little help on my friends, and to launch this one. And so I immediately, the first people that I thought was Javi and Rolando. I said, like, we have never really been together. I don't want to claim that I am like always in in that league, but of the international guys, like we get along together. I have a very good relationship with both of them, in different aspects. Javier is like really, like, I feel very close to him. I have a big adoration for him, but I feel more like a friend. I talk a lot as a friend. Rolando was a generation, it was a generational idol. I covered him. He was the day that I met Placido there. He's like 12 years older than me, so I saw his CDs above, and I think that he was a little bit before us. Of course, Javier has exploding this, as you call it, like megastar. He fills arenas in Mexico and things like that. That's amazing. So I wanted to really, for me, originally I was like, well, okay, let's, like, this format, I wanted to ask them certain things from me, primarily as a friend and as a little bit of a fan, to have them with me in a Zoom. But then when they accepted, this, like, I came with the idea to you and Ian, and then when the three of us were like ready to go, you're like, well, if we want to do it, why don't we do it for sure? And we hired a director, and we created logistics to make it a little bit more specific. Also, these two guys have recording label contracts, so we had to go in through a lot of negotiations to make it happen. Mm-hmm. But now we have a beautiful, intimate moment where, in the lives of these three different Mexican journeys into the world of opera, that has a lot of victories, but we don't talk a lot about the heartache too that takes sometimes to do it, and we talk very freely. We celebrate each other singing. We sing Mexican song like if we were making carne asada sometimes, I sing a little bit a cappella, like the way that we would do it in that. We even got a little bit of archives singing of Rolando, with a harp, doing some Mexican songs. So there's a lot of things that I think that for the Mexican public first, and then for everybody that loves opera and knows the three of us in different phases, you're going to get a very, very intimate portrait. And also the way that we celebrate at the end of the day, the friendship of the three of us, it's very, very beautiful there in the heart of the song.
When can someone access this for the first time, and for how long is it going to be on the TV network?
So May 26th, it's open right now. It's open for pre-sales and pre-orders. You can check it in our website, Dallas Opera TV, or in the apps that you can download it. Originally, we are super happy because originally we were only getting permission from the labels of these two for 7 days, but thank you to the management of them and a lot of Ian and you guys helping us, we now have it for close to 40 days, 37 days for sales. So it's, you have 37 days to see it and then it goes away. And so we're very excited, as you know, like Javier and I work with this incredible publicist in Mexico, Greta Chile, and we have been everywhere in Mexico since we started. It has been amazing how the amount of Mexicans that have like written to us, and now that it's starting to get more worldwide, the traffic, I see it because I see the pre-sales and the people that are checking our page. This is going to be a really great event, so I'm very excited about this possibility.
Well, I'm looking forward to that show. Javier, thank you so much for your time. I miss making music with you. We have to organize that very soon, and I can't wait to see that show. Thank you so much, David.
No, thank you
so much. Thank you so much, David. And I see you very soon. You are not off the hook with me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Javi.
Abrazote, David.
Muchas gracias.